All right, so getting into the Sunday night showdown game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. So looking at the game over and under, getting into the preview for this, the Bengals are favored to win by 8.5 points. And so that's really going to be the deciding factor. And the game over and under is the worst out of all, okay, 40.5 points. So it's not expecting to be a higher scoring game, which personally I don't like for showdown slates, okay, because that both brings in the defenses for them. You got the Bengals defense, who last week put up 19 DK points, which would warrant their captain play. And then they went for 4 DK points in week 1, which says, hey, they can be usable, serviceable as a flex. And then looking at the Ravens, kind of considering their price tag, maybe could look at them 4 DK points last week and 6. So we don't like that. Obviously. Okay, so it is going to be kind of just a weird showdown slate. Let's go ahead and break it down deep. So the Baltimore Ravens are going to be without Lamar Jackson, but it does seem like they're going to get back Tyler Huntley. And I will say this is going to be a cheaper price tag for Tyler Huntley for a starting quarterback, especially for a rushing quarterback. Like, we are getting a quarterback as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th highest priced player on the slate. And I'm not saying like he's an elite player or anything by that, but can he get 10 DK points? Sure. So that is just a strange price point, especially for a rush first quarterback. And the matchup's difficult, so I get it. And the chances of him breaking the slate are very low. So he's not going to be anyone you're playing in the captain spot, but at the same time is someone that you could consider playing. He's not someone that you want to play. Okay, I want to make that very clear. But he has had, 3 out of 5 games be over double-digit DK, which, given the nature of this slate, we would take, where it is a lower scoring. Looking at J.K. Dobbins, he looks like someone that's going to be a GPP-only play, not someone you can trust, but is someone that could easily break off, a couple of big performances. And really, he depends on getting that 100-yard bonus. And so can we accurately project that that's going to happen? Probably not. That is very much a GPP risk. Really, the best play for the Bengals or for the Ravens is probably going to be Mark Andrews, who through 2 games or through 1 game against Cincy, really did well. That was one of his best games of the season. 22.9 DK points. And then last week happened where he had 22 DK points. So the question is, do we use Mark Andrews or not? Maybe. I've used this a few times now. It's kind of the George Kittle rule, where if you're going to play George Kittle, in this case, Mark Andrews, like, you're just playing him in the captain spot, because if you're playing him, you're saying that he's going to go off. He is going to be the biggest difference maker for the Baltimore Ravens, and he's going to be scoring some touchdowns. So I don't mind that idea. Like, if you are trying to play him in the captain spot or play him at all, you would play him in the captain spot. From there, if you want to try to get lucky with like Justin Tucker, kicker, we don't mind that. 10 DK points or so, that could certainly happen. Is it at a cheap price tag? And honestly, he probably is the best Ravens player, unfortunately. And then from there, you try to begin lucky with like Kenyon Drake in some third down work, Sammy Watkins catching a deep ball or 2. Josh Oliver, you try to be getting lucky there. Demarcus Robinson had himself a bad game in his last game, but getting some targets, getting some work, you could play him. Like, these are all just like okay plays, and that's kind of the problem with the Ravens. So I have been kind of skewing more towards the Bengals, because the Bengals are going to be easier to predict like who's going to be a good play. All right, so looking at the Bengals now, Joe Burrow is an interesting play. Against Baltimore, he has kind of struggled, 12.6 DK points last week, and that was with them sitting some of their starters. Okay, he did fine. And then week 5, 18 DK points. Like, yes, on a showdown slate in this game, that is probably going to be good enough. Kind of like how I said Tyler Huntley is actually in play, even if he only scores 10 DK points. Joe Burrow is definitely in play still, even if he's going to score like 15 DK points. Definitely a fine play. And I will say, guys, like, the last few weeks he had tough matchups and was able to produce. So like, I don't mind it. From there, you probably are just going to be loading up on Bengals receivers. It's really tough not to love Jamar Chase. And, if you aren't playing Mark Andrews in the captain spots, which, you can, like, it makes logical sense GPP wise, then you'd probably just be playing Jamar Chase. It'd be tough not to love Jamar Chase. Last week went off against them, and even in week 5 was able to score 12 DK points. Given the fact that he is getting double-digit targets and 90% of the snaps or more, like, Jamar Chase is just a lock and load play on the slate, or at least should be. T. Higgins is an interesting play. 7 targets last week, 1 point. He is very much like a not safe but high upside GPP play. Like, you don't know what you're going to get from him, but you do know if you get good results from him, he could really break the slate. And I'm kind of more or less betting on it. It is risky just because he has been banged up, and it just could take one play to aggravate it, and you just don't know for sure what you're going to get. That is the risk there. And I would say if I'm playing T. Higgins, I'm not playing Tyler Boyd. If I'm not playing T. Higgins, I'm playing Tyler Boyd. It's kind of as simple as that. In games in which Higgins has struggled, Tyler Boyd has clearly been the player that has stepped up. So it's really a straightforward if-then statement. And let's say maybe T. Higgins is a little bit banged up. Trenton Irwin could be a decent play. And I saw some sort of tweet like his over and under yards right now is like 5.5. Basically been over that ton this season. Like she's playing 40% snaps. Just an interesting one there. Prop picks wise and value price point wise, certainly someone you could play if you're trying to open up the slate. Like we have a lot of salary left over if we play him, and that might be the route to go. So this is what's weird about this slate. Like this is, I think, a decent build actually, and we could easily go and plug Joe Burrow in there. Like I'd be fine with this. That's where this slate is so strange. Let me try to make a more optimal build for you here. So here's what I would be looking at lineup approach. Let's go ahead and do it again. I think we could do Jamar Chase captain. I'd be fine with that. Mark Andrews, put him in there. Joe Burrow, you could still play. And actually, I tried to do another build with Jamar Chase in there instead. I didn't really like it. So might be going with this lineup. For now, we'll see. But that's all I have for you guys for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Just an interesting, ugly Sunday playoff game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. I actually think it'll be kind of a more fun game, honestly, just because there's more unknowns to it, especially with the Baltimore side of it. They keep finding ways to do well, even though it's ugly. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested in that because I feel like it's more difficult to predict. So my expectations are all over the place for it. So I think that's what makes it fun. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give a like and subscribe. That helps me be able to put up more content for you guys. All right. Thanks for watching. And as always, let's keep cashing.